Hey everybody, welcome back to the Senators Roundtable. I'm Jacob Billington, joined by Dayton, Reimer, and Paul Quinney as always. And we're heading back to Ottawa for Game 6. Wasn't sure we would be getting to this point based on the first couple games, but here we are. The Senators just defeated the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-0. Great game from everybody. So what did you think of the game? Just initial thoughts. Start with you, Dayton.
Oh, it was fantastic. That was a team that was playing some of the best hockey I've ever seen them play. They looked fantastic. There's no notes. almost no notes. There's maybe one note that I could make, but really impressed with how well the Senators looked. Allmark was great. Their defense was great. I've been a little critical of their defense, especially in the first couple of games, but no, things were perfect, and the game reflected that. The score, anyways.
Yeah, I thought they played a fantastic game, just top to bottom, like everything, pretty well. Paul, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with all of that, guys. I just point out with this young team is that tonight they really did look like they believe that they can win. They played with confidence. They knew what they were doing. They asserted themselves. Probably the best game they played this season, and that's a step forward from Saturday night when they won. But it could have gone either way. Tonight it was, hey, we think we can win here, and they did in convincing manner.
Yeah, so I guess we can just kind of walk through the game a little bit. One of the takeaways from the first period, Drake Batherson came so close to scoring, but Morgan Rielly kept it off the line. Anthony Stolarz had a pretty good game. He's been fantastic all series. Got to give him credit. But yeah, Drake Batherson, there's a puck right on the line, and it bounces off the post twice somehow. I didn't understand the physics on that one, but come very close. But then Nick Jensen's turnover, I assume you both saw it. It was not good, right at the blue line. And he hasn't been fantastic this series, which is really unfortunate because for the first 60 games of the season, he was incredible. He was the Senators' best defenseman at times. So are you worried about Nick Jensen? Should he be lower in the lineup moving forward, like next year? Obviously, I think you're going to keep him up there over Nicholas Mattenpalo, but are you worried about Nick Jensen?
I don't know if I'm worried. He definitely hasn't looked great. There have definitely been some defensive lapses, especially in the first three games, I should say. I looked pretty closely at all of those goals. The fourth game, maybe it was a bit messy, but they won. And it was the best they'd played at that point. He's still a strong defensive presence, and he had some really good defensive plays tonight. He's not playing, I think, as highly as he was earlier, but I believe he can bounce back. There might just be a bit of unfamiliarity with the playoffs. He's almost as inexperienced as the rest of them, I believe.
I don't think so. He has, because he was with the Capitals for a while.
Yeah.
Did he get in a lot of playoff games with them, though?
Not really. He was kind of after. He was after their Stanley Cup. So he has 30 playoff games, 5 of them coming this year.
So he has some experience, but it's a different role a little bit here, right?
Do you think he's 100% physically? I know there's a there.
I don't think so at all. Close to the end of the season, he was missing games, missing practices. I don't think he's 100%. I think he's 80%, which is better than 100% of anybody. Carter Yakimchuk, do you insert him? I don't think so. I don't think you put him in at this point. If Mattenpalo wasn't playing well, sure, throw Yakimchuk in, see what he has to offer. But right now, everybody's kind of doing their job on the back end. And we'll get to that.
When you're talking blue liners here, you've got to single out Clevin.
100%.
He's really stepped up. I'll give myself a pat on the back here. Article I wrote a week or so ago, identified him as one of the X factors, and here he is. He's looking pretty good for a kid. He's certainly growing in these playoffs.
He's a guy that's built for the playoffs too. Like he's not afraid to punch you in the face if you deserve it, or if you don't deserve it. Sometimes he just wants to punch you. He can lay the heavy hits, but he's also like that good shutdown player. And we haven't seen him thrive this season. Like it was an up and down season. He had some good games, he had some bad games, but like these 5 playoff games have been the best 5 games of his NHL career to this point. Like it's been incredible.
Yeah, and he had a little dance with Mr. Benoit near the end of the game. So he got the best of that one. So
yeah, I gotta say, when they were kind of scuffling in the corner and Simone Benoit's skates came up really high and close to the ref, I winced a little bit. I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like the big tackle and the legs going up in the air. I hate it.
Yeah.
So next kind of big event in the game was Thomas Chabot going into the boards. I believe it was Morgan Riley cross-checked him from behind. 2-minute penalty. Now I'm not here to complain about the officiating. I'm not jumping on that bandwagon or anything like that. But how is that not a 5-minute penalty? I don't know if either of you have a different opinion than me, but I don't think that there's any defense for how that's not a 5-minute penalty.
Well, I was listening to the Sportsnet broadcast, and maybe you were going to mention this, Paul. But it taught me a new thing that if you do assess a major penalty for a cross-check from behind like that, it is a game misconduct.
Maybe go.
And the refs decided that this was not worthy of a game misconduct. Like Chabot was right back up. He did look like he was grabbing his head for a moment, but he looked fine afterwards. And so you can't really give the major without kicking him out for the whole game. And that I do believe that would have been a little bit overkill. I don't think he deserved a full game for that. Maybe a double minor.
I think he gets a suspension. I think he gets 1 game.
Really?
I do. Based on what we've seen in the Tampa, Florida series, I think that that's worse than some of the things that have been given suspensions for.
Yeah. Well, at least we're having the debate here. The Toronto Sports Network, there was no debate. I saw a meme on Facebook where they are all dressed in Maple Leaf sweaters and agreeing vigorously that there's no way that was a 5-minute. So, but I kind of agree with Dayton. It's I take your point, Jacob, about the other series, Florida, but it's the playoffs and they're gonna let stuff go. To lose a guy like Riley for a game, that could be a series changer.
So but what if they lost Chabot? That's also a series changer. And I know like the what if, but a penalty should not be based on if a player is injured or not. I hate that is a thing. And same with suspensions. It shouldn't matter if the player is injured or not. It does, and it does matter. But with the length of a suspension or a penalty, and I know some penalties have it written in that if a player is injured, it makes X penalty. I think hit to the head is an automatic 5 if there's an injury on the play. That makes sense, but I don't know.
He slammed his head into the boards. I'm not blaming the victim here, but he was badly positioned against the boards. Way too
100%.
He was not defending himself whatsoever.
And you see that all through minor hockey now, all the way up to the NHL. Like anybody under the age of 29 does not know how to stay safe along the boards. Like they turn their back to the boards all the time. And part of it is because you're invincible. You get hit and that's a penalty on them. So good on them for knowing how to draw the penalty. You're not keeping yourself safe.
No, not at all. I mean, you just don't stand that far away from the boards, but I don't know. But, and then the issue was, I'll throw this out. It was thrown out tonight. on Sports Network was, should he have gone into concussion protocol, or at least, because he was shaking his head and was obviously dazed. He didn't.
No, we got our own little mini Paul Correa right here with off the floor and on the board. Because, in the second period, he opens the scoring for the game. 512 regular season games for Thomas Chabot. And he just scored his first playoff goal.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a big, the game-winning goal by the end of the game. So that's huge. What do you like from Chabot that you've seen this during the series?
He's cool, calm, and collected. He's unflappable back there. I haven't seen the bloody turnovers that you used to see in the season. You'd be scratching your head. I think he's done a very good job of clearing the puck, which is something the Ottawa defense has had difficulty with. But you're mentioning goals. That was his first in a playoff game. I just took a look at the goal scorers in the series, and it really is evenly distributed. Batherson, of course, Greg, Gaudette. It's Tkachuk with 2, Sanderson, Perron, Stützle. It's spread evenly up and down the depth chart. So, that's a real strength for a team to be able to rely on as many players as they've relied on for scoring.
Yeah, they have good depth. Obviously, Dylan Cousins getting on the board today. We'll get to that in a minute, but that's huge for him. He's only had 1 assist so far. Adam Gaudette picks up his 2nd assist, and it's good. Everybody's doing their part, and that's kind of what a team like the Senators need, because they don't have Marner and Matthews and Nylander. They have all of the second-tier guys that we talk, like Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stützle are not second-tier players, but they haven't produced at the 100-point pace that these superstars do. So, it's nice to see a goal from Chabot. You look at the roster, I don't think anybody deserved a goal more than him in the playoffs.
Well, and you look at tonight was a blowout. What was it? 4 goals?
4-0.
Yeah, because I was looking at their goals. Up to tonight, they'd scored 10 goals over 4 games, so 2.5 goals on average per game, which is not good enough in the playoffs to win you very many games. So, they sure turned that around tonight.
Yeah, no, it's good. Dayton, any other thoughts on Chabot?
I thought he looked fantastic this game. I've liked him in the series, but I very much noticed him this game in that he was just making all the right plays at the right time. He was really solid. Like Paul said, really, really calm, cool, collected. Yeah, he looks very solid.
Yeah, I think Chabot is understanding the pressure that's there's no pressure on the Senators in the playoffs. They're happy to be here playing with house money. But I think he understands that he is one of the guys that everybody's watching, see how he performs in the playoffs. Because we all know Jake Sanderson. We can talk about him in a minute, but we all know how good he is and has been in the playoffs. Thomas Chabot, nobody really knew what to expect. He had a lot of highs and lows throughout his career so far. And now that he made it to the playoffs, I think he looks really good.
But, everybody in Ottawa, of course, is thrilled. The series is now 3-2, and there's going to be a hockey game in Ottawa on Thursday night. But, the question in my mind is, why should we be surprised about that? If you look at the game so far, with the exception of the first game that they lost 6-2, they've been really close games that could have gone either way. So, I don't know why anybody's surprised that they're on the verge of tying this series up.
The whole series. The Senators are only a couple bounces away from this being Senators in 5, and it's over. 2 overtime goals in this game, and this series is already over for Ottawa. Now, did they deserve those? No. Like, they didn't deserve wins in game 2 and 3. I don't think it was pretty close, but the Leafs earned those wins. But like they were one shot away in each of those games from this being Senators in 5. So they've definitely held in there. They've exceeded my expectations based on their on ice performance. Outside of, I'd say, the first game and a half, I didn't know how ready they would be and how well they could stand up to the Leafs. Obviously, in all the series preview stuff, like I hyped up the Senators, gassed them up a little bit. But I was quite hesitant. And I was thinking Leafs in 6. I didn't think it would come to this, but like in this way, I think it's definitely going 7, and I think that it's going to be a very close game 7.
Well, that game Thursday night is just going to be a barn burner. That the roof's going to come off the top of the Canadian Tire Center. It did Saturday as well, and I was listening to one fan talk today and said the great thing about it, and she hadn't seen it very often, is that there were very few Toronto Maple Leaf fans in the crowd, which made it a much more pleasant experience. I don't know how they've done that. We touched on it the last show, but whatever they've done, they've kept tickets out of the hands of the Toronto Maple Leaf faithful.
Well, I think I saw like game 1 was like 75, or game 3, I guess. Game 1 in Ottawa was like 75-25 Senators fans, which is really, really good for what you kind of expect in that game. And then game 4, where they were facing a sweep, was more like 60-40, 58-42, like around there. Just because the team is on the verge of getting swept. Yeah. But still, over 50% in a game like that for Senators fans, like that's a win. It's sad that that's a win. It should just be expected. But in the reality that we live in, I think that it's been fantastic.
Well, it's great for the city. Driving around town, you just see now more and more Senators car flags. So, things are heating up. If it goes to game 7, Elgin Street, where, fans gather for a few beers and to watch the game, that'll be the place to be in town.
Is that where Sens Mile is? I've been seeing stuff about that. Obviously, I don't know the city very well. Is that Sens Mile?
Yeah, historically. Now, I'm too old to go down there, of course. I don't stay up that late, but that's where it was when I was a younger man.
Long time ago. So we'll keep going on with this game. Dylan Cousins kind of it felt like it sealed the deal. Shorthanded goal. That's the second one in the series from the Senators. Austin Matthews with a rough giveaway. Mitch Marner didn't have William Nylander didn't have the best effort coming back. Adam Gaudette does a great job carrying the puck up the ice, and I knew Dylan Cousins could skate, but man, he flew right by Nylander on the way to the net, and he got himself wide open and tapped in his first of the playoffs, his first career playoff goal, shorthanded to give the Senators 2-0 lead. So that was the TSN turning point of that game. It was fantastic. I mean, there's not really much to say about it other than it was a great goal. But any thoughts on Gaudette and Cousins?
Well, Cousins, another guy identified as a X factor in the playoffs. He could break out. If you're a Sens fan, you got to hope that this is the start. You're going to see Dylan Cousins unleashed. Still waiting for Zetterlund to do that, but it's good to see Cousins, a trade deadline acquisition, making a difference here, making an impact.
Yeah, I think that was a goal that would make Josh Norris proud. Dayton, any thoughts on that kind of duo? I mean, they don't play together very often, but like shorthanded, they've been really good.
Yeah,
which has been a big struggle for Ottawa shorthanded, and especially on the faceoffs. But what did you think about those two together on the PK?
Oh, it worked really well. We knew Gaudette was pretty quick, but seeing how fast Cousins is and like how that can be a real game changer was was huge, and they kind of pulled a bit of an Uno reverse card on the Leafs. They were doing the same thing that they've been doing all game, those long stretch passes, and they caught Toronto a bit flat-footed, and it worked out perfectly because you don't really want to leave Dylan Cousins alone in front of the net. That's just not a good time for goalies. Kind of like you don't want to leave William Nylander in front of the net all alone. That's not a good time for goalies, which Ottawa did a couple of times in the first couple of games. And now they weren't doing that. And to get that goal back in that fashion was just so sweet. Like it was poetic. I loved it.
Who was the Leaf defender on that play? I can't recall. It doesn't really matter. I guess the point I was going to make was, he played the shooter, and I guess conventional wisdom is, you take away the pass and let the goaltender handle the shooter, and he didn't do it. Paid the price.
Yeah, and I thought Nylander looked pretty slow coming back. It just was. It was a defensive collapse from the Leafs.
It was Mitch Marner, by the way.
Was it Marner? Yes, it was. It was Marner that was bad.
Marner was covering Gaudette, and Cousins was on the other side unprotected.
Well, there you go. He's a forward, not a defenseman. I guess we can forgive him, right?
Right, yeah, because the Leafs don't even run a defenseman on the power play. They run the 5 forwards. Okay. So that makes sense. Which has bit them twice in this series so far.
Yeah.
Marner and Nice and Matthews finished with a -4 tonight.
-4, really?
Yeah.
That's not good.
No.
No, mind you, 2 empty net goals. I don't think empty net goals against should count towards plus minus. Plus minus is also just a stupid stat, but when you are -4 in a 4-0 game, that's quite telling. But I gotta say, Matthew Nyes, I'd run through a wall for him. Against the Leafs, I love Matthew Nyes. He's been one of the most fun players to watch in this series. He's so good. I hope the Leafs pay him $14 million this offseason and screw their cap, but he deserves, he's so good. I love Matthew Nyes.
Yeah, seeing him shove down Shane Pinto, what was that, near the end of the second period?
Yeah.
Because he was mad at, Pinto was mad at him for shooting the puck. And so Pinto charges him, and Nyes just flattens him. He was charged by a toddler. It was crazy.
But not before, if you looked at that play, Pinto did get some lumber on his mask, or maybe
he did.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I can't believe we're extolling the virtues of this thuggery here on
I know, and that's not me at all, as you know. But I don't know. I loved that. I love Matthew Nyes. He's so much fun to watch. I don't think that he is better than Brady Tkachuk, like all the Leafs fans seem to be saying and strongly believing on the internet. But he is the same kind of player, and Ottawa's going to offer sheet him this summer.
There you go. He would make a great senator. He plays that style.
Yeah, he fits in but he's also exactly what the Leafs need, which is credit to them for picking him up in the second round. He's like Zach Hyman, that kind of player. Fits in really well with Matthews Marner.
Yeah.
So a couple empty net goals, nothing to really talk about. I mean, Claude Giroux did a fantastic job beating out the icing on that 3-0 goal, and getting it back to Tim Stützle to bury it. But the 2 empty net goals, not a ton to talk about. Do want to talk a little bit about Ridley Gregg. I think he has been fantastic this series. He's exactly what he's supposed to be, getting under the skin of everybody, not making any friends on the ice. Took it a little bit too far today. I didn't mind it. I mean, the shorthanded opportunity led to the 1-0 goal from Gregg, but no, it didn't. 2-0 goal. But yeah, what do you think about Gregg? Obviously, he had the cross check in the first period. against Matthew Nyes, of course. And then the holding against Mitch Marner, that was just hilarious. He lost his stick and he runs over to Marner and he just he almost jumped on his back and pulled him down. Like I don't know what he was thinking. If he thought he could get away with that, but what do you think? Did he take it too far? Is that okay to see at this point in the series? What do you think?
Well, you can question that second period on the penalty on Marner, of course, but he does play with that jam. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for that you need in the playoffs. And from time to time, a player like him is going to he's always playing on the edge, and there's going to be times when he goes over the edge and gets called. I'm sure he heard about that penalty, from the coaching staff on Marner, but that goes with the territory.
Dayton, what are your thoughts on Greg? You and I talked a little bit before the show.
Yeah, I agree that his hold on Marner was hilarious. You can't do that in a playoff series that you can potentially win. I think we can agree that the Senators look like they could push this to Game 7. You already said that, Jacob. They look competitive. They look dangerous. And if Greg is going to take that kind of penalty, that immediately removes a lot of momentum. Like that's a dumb penalty. It's funny. I 100% agree. It's a dumb penalty though. Like you're going to get called for that every single time, and you're going to put your team on a penalty kill. And thankfully, Cousins was able to score on that penalty kill. But yeah, like we talked earlier about discipline and how I didn't really agree that it was a lack of discipline, but they did need to be smarter with how they were using their physicality.
Just adapt to the playoff game. See
exactly.
what you can get away with.
And that is not adapting, I don't think. I think that that's emotion. And you need to have emotion, but you have to know where to draw the line. And I think he crossed it. So I was a little bit disappointed with Greg tonight. I thought he wasn't playing as smart as he could. We've seen how effective he can be. And that was, I think, being a bit of a detriment to his team, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was honestly expecting some stuff like that from Brady Tkachuk in the first couple games. He's done a great job of containing his excitement and stuff like that. That was one of my biggest concerns was, is this going to be too much for Brady? Is he going to just take it over the line too many times, trying to get away with everything that he can? But no, Brady has been fantastic. He hasn't been as impactful on the games as I was kind of hoping. But he's got 3 goals in 5 games, so hard to complain about his performance.
So, what about Ullmark? We haven't touched on him.
Yeah, so he comes up last. What do you think?
Done.
Obviously, a shutout tonight. Fantastic performance. Made some huge saves. Struggled in the first 4 shots of a couple of games. But he's settling into his own, getting a little bit better with each game. Obviously, you can't get better than a shutout, but do you think he's found it? Do you think he just had a couple bad games? What do you think about Ullmark?
So one thing I've been really impressed with Ullmark is that, like in after game quotes and interviews and whatever, he's been like really calm and really optimistic. It seems like he is unflappable, and I am a goalie truther for the Senators. It's not the goalie's fault. It's never been the goalie's fault. And I'm sure we have several episodes now where I've said something like that.
At least 9.
At least. Because read the stats. Like it's so clear to me anyways. So I went into all of Ullmark's goals in the first 3 games, and I looked at how they were scored, and a vast majority of them were not his fault. Like, yeah, it would have been great for him to have a big time game save and keep the Senators in. But he wasn't put in a position to do that. And he would have had to really kind of go out of his way to make those big saves. And he doesn't always do that, and that's okay. You can't always bank on a goalie to save you, especially when your team is struggling. And there were several times where his own players put the puck into his net, either off a foot or off a chest. You can't have goals go in like that. He was screened multiple times, like incredibly screened. I couldn't think of a better word. But couldn't see a thing. And part of that was his own players were just crowding in front of him. You see his save percentages, and it wasn't great, but he wasn't playing badly. He just wasn't put into a position to make some of those saves, a lot of those saves.
My only counterpoint to that is that he is the 5th highest paid goalie in the league. He will be next year. He already signed that extension. You need a couple big saves that you don't deserve.
I agree. He definitely should have had a few of the goals that were scored on him. He wasn't infallible.
No, it's not his fault. Game 1, you want a way better performance than that. But the reason they were down 3-0 is not because of Linus Ullmark.
No, if he played as good as he played tonight, they still would have lost.
Yeah,
because nobody was playing well. Game 2, that one was much closer, but I think if he played like he did tonight, they might have still lost, because it was just that, like, Game 2 and 3 were basically out of his control. Yeah. He was doing everything he could, and he wasn't put into a place to succeed. Tonight he was. Tonight the defense was playing the best defense I've seen the Senators play. He was then able to make those big-time saves. And we saw big-time saves from Ullmark. He made some incredibly good saves. Like, there was one right off his toe, and he just was able to see right through traffic. They weren't crowding him as much tonight. The sticks were exactly where they needed to be. And weirdly enough, he saves everything, right? It's not a coincidence. He is a good goalie. He's getting paid $8 million because he is that kind of goalie. You just need a team in front of him who can respond to that.
Yeah.
Paul,
I think in the first period, he was really busy, right? The Senators were not getting shots. They were getting horribly outshot by the Leafs. And that's when he stepped up and became the goaltender that, on the last episode, I said he has to be. He's got to show his Vezina credentials, and he did tonight. He's got to be able to steal a game. He did exactly that tonight. So I'm wondering, with this win under his belt, I'm wondering if this is kind of a turning point for him in the rest of the series, and who knows beyond if the Senators get by the Leafs. And is he going to be the unstoppable goalie? I think that Ottawa had always hoped he'd be. We'll see. This has got to be a big confidence booster for him, and frankly, the team. His performance tonight.
So, Paul, I want you to give me one player you've been surprised with in a positive way and disappointed in throughout the first 5 games.
Surprised. Well, Clevin, definitely. I didn't think I thought he had the potential, but there's the difference between potential and actually doing it, and Clevin's actually doing it. Disappointed? I don't know. Maybe Zetterland. I mean, he's just hasn't come through with the goals that I think he's capable of. I don't know what it is. He's coming close, but just hasn't been able to click. So he's overdue.
I feel like those are almost like the right answers. Obviously, this is a very subjective question, but like Dayton, do you have any other answer than that?
I mean, Clevin is a great answer. He's been fantastic. I've really liked him. I wrote down a few other names here. Matt and Palo has been pretty good, but I don't think I'm surprised by that. He's been playing that solid third pairing. Zub, again, another guy who I thought was really good. Sanderson, another guy who was playing really well tonight. Those to me aren't surprises, though. So yeah, Clevin is the surprise that he is, like, he's so good. I'll pick a different disappointment, though, and I think I'm going to pick Stützle. And that's because he just hasn't been that offensive force that I would have hoped him to be. He's playing excellently. Like, don't get me wrong. I think he is playing very well. He's playing physical. He's engaged in the play. And he added, I believe, 3 assists tonight, which that's what you want from him. But I think I only saw him make 1 shot. I want that to be a little higher. And so I'm a little disappointed that he hasn't been bigger in that offensive push.
Well, and I noticed Stützle tonight. He was really, the Leafs are really tossing him around like a rag doll in the corners. He's getting thrown off the puck quite easily. And to your point, Dylan, Dayton, he only had 1 goal up until tonight. He only had 1 goal and no assists. Mm-hmm. If I got that right, yeah. So I agree with you. Disappointment.
So you said he's getting beat up in the corners. Tim Stützle is 2nd in the league in hits in the playoffs, trailing just Marcus Foligno. Like,
he's been incredibly physical, and I'd really like to see that from him.
Yeah. So he might be getting beat up in the corners, but he's also doing the beating up in the corner. Like, he is very physical. It's working really well for him. It might be taking a little bit away from his offense, but, like, let's not be Kevin Bieksa here and say that that's a terrible thing. Kevin Bieksa said he had eight hits going into the second period going into the third period, and that's just too many. Like, that was ridiculous. I understand what he means, but even still, like, Tim Stützle's just playing playoff hockey.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not disputing the hits. I acknowledge that he is laying a lot of hits on people, but it's the puck battles, the wrestling, the shoves back and forth to gain possession of the puck. He's losing those, and I don't know whether it's he's too small or at least these too big. Not sure what you can do about it, but that said, hey, he's in there battling for the puck, right? He's a high skill player that isn't afraid to get his hands dirty.
Yeah, so competitive. Like, he's such a great, I guess, example for the players on Ottawa. Like, he does have that high end skill, but he's playing right along there with Brady, throwing the big hits. There was at least 1 or 2 times where they showed the behind the net camera, and some Senator comes in, lays a hit, and then I realize it's Stützle.
Yeah.
And it's like, that, really? He can do that? And he's been doing it all series. He's been really, really good. I want to see him score more goals because he's also really good at that too.
Yeah. So with Fabian Zetterlund, he, like, looking at the stats and everything, he fits in with the disappointment. He's almost getting the Eric Brandstrom treatment right now. Like, you have really good players ahead of him. Chemistry is working. Everything's working. You're winning games with him on the 4th line. He's playing really well, I think. He's just not getting the time. Like, he's getting like 8 minutes a night. And sure, he isn't producing in those 8 minutes. But I don't know. It's like with Eric Brandstrom. He's playing well in that 3rd pair, but that's not where he should be. And he can't produce as much as he could be if he was on the 2nd pair or 3rd or 1st pair. And I think that's kind of what Zetterlund's getting right now. Whole lot more forgivable. He's not one of your guys. He's not you didn't trade a franchise cornerstone for him to develop. You just acquired him at the deadline. Like, he's fitting in really well on the 4th line, even if he's not producing. But I think he is kind of getting the Brandstrom treatment right now.
Yeah.
Almost scored tonight, though.
He did almost score tonight. He's almost scored like 3 or 4 times.
That one, though, where was that off of Riley's skate?
Yeah.
Oh, I felt bad for him because that should have gone in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna wrap things up for this episode. We might do a post-game show on Thursday after Game 6. See what things are, check our availability. But yeah, thanks for tuning into this episode. If you made it this far, leave a like, leave a comment, and we will see you on the next episode.